called DUI Jury Trial, which is the true story of a truck driver in Illinois who was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. Not only was he facing a revocation of his driver's license, but also a lifetime disqualification of his commercial driver's license, which would prevent him from ever driving a semi-truck again. This book includes the backstories of the truck driver, the lawyers that defended his case, and the DUI expert witness who analyzed the case and then testified at trial as to the proper protocol procedures of the field sobriety test as well as the breathalyzer tests. This nonfiction novel also includes the actual court transcripts from the jury trial, a courtroom showdown in which the final verdict would determine the fate of the defendant's livelihood. The book, DUI Jury Trial, is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame, Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches. To ethnic favorites such as Slovaki and Grecian chicken. Slovaki is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Fixed bayonets, comrades. This is Michael Francis Tuman. I'm the Chief Guard of the Republic Veterans Radio Shoutout, coming to you from the Fox River Valley Media Network, 1410 AM out of Elgin. Our call-in number, welcome for anyone to call in on any of our subjects, 847-931-1410, especially any veterans or veterans groups that want to get their word out. Call up, hook up, or come into the chat on the YouTube Live, and we'll hook you up, give you a big shout out for your organization. So Matt was telling me that this is my 7th show. I mean, I had to pre-record one, and I'm working on that to make it a little better, but this is the 7th show that we have, and I plan to do this for a long time. I know it's only like an hour a week, but hey, Paul's there. Paul's my most loyal listener, my most loyal fan.
Oh, nice.
Thanks,
Hi,
Paul. And so last week I was discussing Space Force and how integral and necessary it is to our national defense and our national interests. And we went off on a little tangent. I never mind going on a tangent. I like that. I mean, anyone that's been to high school, if you have a boring teacher or the subject's boring, the best thing to do is get the teacher off on a tangent. So you just waste 50 minutes talking about something totally unrelated to the class, but it's interesting to you. So you spend some good time, and you stay awake. So we went off on a tangent there about electromagnetic pulse in the atmosphere and how it's going to affect all the solid state. I mean, they call it solid state because, if you drop a microchip or something, it's not going to shatter all over the place like a vacuum tube would. But how that would basically demagnetize or degauss the transistors and make them useless. And the question was whether an magnetic pulse needed atmosphere or mass to be effective. And I did some research, and no, it's an energy wave. And if it was in the middle of space, now space, people think that it's entirely a vacuum, but it's not. It's like it's like one atom of hydrogen, and usually it's a hydrogen without a neutron in the core. And so it's one atom like spaced out for like cubic meters. All right, so imagine just one atom in a cubic meter. Does that make it a vacuum? The distance between the atoms is a vacuum, but the actual atoms being there are not a vacuum. So the electromagnetic pulse is an energy wave, and it will travel through space as easily, or through a vacuum, or close to a vacuum, as easily as it travels through actual solid matter or atmosphere, gaseous matter or liquid matter like the ocean. So this week, I wanted to take that Space Force and go on into NASA, or the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, which is not part of the Department of Defense, all right? Even though a lot of your astronauts come out of the military, NASA is a separate, it's an independent agency to everything else. It's like answers directly to the president, all right? And they, of course, they have to receive their funding through Congress too. So the big thing here is, all right, so we just had, on Friday, we finally got the astronauts down. The SpaceX vehicle brought them down to Earth, and one of the astronauts there kind of was a little bit, I guess, space sick or something. So they took him in and to the hospital. And he's in stable condition. But even though that was NASA and the NASA astronauts and everything, it took a private organization, SpaceX, through Elon Musk, right? Mm-hmm. Elon Musk runs that. As an entrepreneur, an independent thing, contracting with NASA to get that up there and to bring down those pilots. And the reason this is important now is because I think, my personal opinion, all right, not the opinion of anyone else that I know of other than me right now, is that the overregulation is actually stifling creativity and stifling our ability to get into space and explore space, because it has so much possibilities there that I think the governments are afraid. They're like afraid is that a private agency gets up there and starts making so much money, and that they would have, once they get off the Earth and set up something independent of any other country, sustainable in space, they are no longer answer to any government. It's very difficult for the government to get that reach to go out and get them, as we saw with their inability to get the astronauts down for 7-8 months past their date. So I think that if we were to get back to the moon, I'm talking human beings back stepping on the moon. I know there's the conspiracy theorists. There are people of the opinion that we never went to the moon. That was simply like Capricorn 1, like the movie. It was all staged. But I have to believe that we did get to the moon. And the reason we managed to get to the moon was a purely panic thing, not just panic, but a pride thing under President Kennedy. When the Russians put up Sputnik, we talked about that last week. When the Russians put up Sputnik, and we didn't have anything in orbit, and we're like, holy cow, the Russians are ahead of us. So Kennedy says, well, they may have beat us to space, but we're going to beat them to the moon. And then we did, and it was a big full court press, and the entire, U.S. population, most of us were behind it. It was like after 9/11, not that sort of an issue where everyone came together and they're like, USA, USA. Well, the Russians got Sputnik up there, and then we're like, USA, USA, let's beat them to the moon. So a full court press, we got up there. A lot of great things came out of the research that got us to the moon. But in this current state of affairs with the massive regulations and everything, I don't think we're going to get to the moon, because the government will just stifle all the creativity with massive amounts of regulation. So in my humble opinion, no, I'm not, I got to tell you, I'm not very humble. So in my opinion, it's going to take a private person like Elon Musk or a private agency to get together to get like a GoFundMe page going, right? Or what, a Kickstarter page going, kickstart us to the moon, right? So then you get a think tank there, engineers and everything, and you build your own stuff outside of government regulation, and you get up there to the moon, right? And you see if it's worth the trip. Back in the 70s, one of my favorite shows, late 70s, I was a young teenage kid, and Andy Griffith, everyone knows, Mayberry, right, and Matlock guy, great actor, because I seen him play a bad guy, and you might not know it, but it was Murder in Cuyahoga County, right, and he played a bad guy, and I was terrified of him. This is as an adult. I was terrified of the character and the way he played this character. But he plays an entrepreneur he deals in scrap, in recycling stuff, buying stuff cheap and then recycling it or whatever. And he has the idea that if he could go to the moon and grab up the moon vehicles and everything that they left up there, that the gold and platinum and all the expensive metals that went into making that stuff, he could bring it back to Earth and recycle it. So he goes and privately funds his own moonshot. And it's very, he's got very limited expertise, but he's got very good experts, and they put it together from what they have at hand. So when we come back, all right, I'll discuss this more. Some people, Salvage One, Paul. So remember, Fox River Valley Media Network, 1410. Call in to our studio number, 847-931-1410. The 1410 is the easy one to remember. But 847-931, I guess 847 out here in this area code, so 931-1410. And like anyone, it's not really, if you're out there in the world and you're hearing this on the internet, like if you're in Chicago or down south in Springfield, remember, you still call in. It's no longer a long-distance call. It's just, your cell phone. And we're getting close. Please, and again, the veterans organizations, you want to shout out and tell me if I'm right or wrong with privatization of the space mission? Because I think that's the only way to go.
We'll be back here in just a bit. Stay tuned.
Every year in Illinois, over 30,000 drivers are arrested for DUI. Due to improper testing procedures, many people end up being wrongfully charged. The book DUIs Decoded cuts right to the chase and tells you how proper DUIs arrests are supposed to be made, from the initial traffic stop to the reasoning behind the field sobriety test, all the myths and facts about taking a breathalyzer, and more. DUIs Decoded is written by nationally recognized DUI expert witness William Polarinos. Available now at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
If you have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Cook County, DuPage County, or Lake County, Illinois, call the law office of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. That's 773-775-5050. Attorney Mark Sheblow has over 29 years of law experience handling DUI defense, traffic violations, CDL violations, and Secretary of State driver's license reinstatement hearings. All aspects of your case will be examined in order to find evidence that may help your case, especially the statutory summary suspension of your driving privileges. If your breath alcohol concentration level at the time of the DUI arrest is 0.08 or more, then the summary suspension of your driver's license begins 46 days after the arrest. Time is a crucial factor in challenging the summary suspension of your driver's license. Our law office is located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. And again, our office phone number is 773-775-5050.
Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame, Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches, to ethnic favorites such as Slovakia and Grecian chicken. Slovakia is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblo, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract, and the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblolawoffice.com. Mark Sheblo can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblo, 773-775-5050.
Six Bayonets, brothers and sisters. This is Chief Warrant Officer 5, retired Mike Tooman, coming back to you on the Fox River Valley Media Network, 1410 AM, WRMN. Our studio number is 847-931-1410. Please call in with any questions you have. Before we left, we're still discussing what I believe is the privatization of space exploration and space travel. And I think the Russians started it out, but as a government, they started charging really rich guys to get up and go to the International Space Station. They would launch them up in their rockets, and they would pay for a lot of their cost would be paid for by these really super rich guys that just wanted to go into space. And that brings me to science fiction and how sometimes science fiction turns to fact. Now, about the only science fiction I've read has been some H.G. Wells, some Robert Heinlein, and a little bit of Asimov. Right? And the one thing that struck me is that H.G. Wells wrote his science fiction in 1897. So before before powered flight. I guess there may have been some glider incidents and stuff, but before powered flight, you had a guy talking about interplanetary space travel and an invasion of Martians, believing that there might be actual sentient beings occupying Mars. So I read, I started reading Heinlein, and I read about everything he put in there, and he's it's kind of weird because he doesn't really discuss much government stuff, but he's a big corporation guy. So he's like, the corporations are what take over everything. And his one of his stories was The Man That Sold the Moon. So this guy, kind of a rich guy, entrepreneur, he always had the hopes of going into space. But as he got older, he wasn't physically capable of it. But he wanted to get human beings off of the planet and get them into space. And the government just wasn't doing it. So he funded his own moonshot. But the government kept trying to put him down. Stop it. They didn't want him getting up there, getting ahead of the government. They didn't want an embarrassment. And when he launched his moonshot, before he launched it, and I'm giving spoilers here, right? He put a bag of diamonds, rough, raw diamonds, into his spaceship. And, well, his rocket ship that went to the moon. So he's able to get it launched out, and the government can't stop it, but they're waiting for this spaceship when it comes back down to Earth to, arrest everyone and seize everything that they brought back. And, of course, now, when the government goes in there, they find all these raw diamonds, that he had brought back from the moon, And now everyone, because it gets leaked out, and everyone goes, wow, there's all those diamonds like just laying around on the moon, because obviously these guys couldn't have mined them when they were up there. They weren't up there long enough. So he everyone that found out about it, some rich people with money and the government, now they're all interested in going there because it's like, hey, the moon has some very valuable minerals, and if this guy could get it up there and get enough of these diamonds back to fund his entire moonshot, which it didn't, it was just fake, right? We could all do it too. So he's like giving it a big kick in the bottom to get everyone up there, and it was private. He did it private, just like in Salvage One, where the guy went up there and proved that it could be done. Now, well, proved in the novel. Again, these are novels. They're science fiction novels. So a lot of it's based on fact. Like Heinlein had pretty much described compact discs, CDs, long before they ever came out, like decades before they came out. Right? He described them. He kind of described the internet before it became a thing, too, if you read that sci-fi. So a lot of these guys with imagination, it's like, if you can imagine it, you can build it. You know, if you can picture it, you get it built, but it's going to cost, sometimes it's going to cost money, which is, Paul says here, the first Zeppelin, 1895. So that's like the first kind of, we had balloons. There were balloons during the Civil War that went up there. In fact, Edgar Allan Poe wrote a short story about going to the moon using a balloon, because they didn't realize that the higher you get up in the atmosphere, well, they knew that from mountain climbers, that the higher you get up, the less oxygen there is, but they didn't expect the atmosphere to totally go away. All right, so now, in like one of my novels that I wrote, you can find it on Psylink, PSYLINK.net, under the novels. Just click on novels and it'll take you there. It was called Monkeys in Space, and I kind of like that name. And so I'm like, when I write, if I find a title I like it just goes into my head, I says I could write a novel based on that title. So I had a character, a kind of a comic book character. He's amoral, not a villain, not a superhero. But imagine about 2 million years ago, when mankind wasn't even at the, if you believe in evolution, I personally believe in, okay, so this is my personal belief. People might get mad at me, but I believe in intelligent design. I mean, there's a plan. Things come out. You just don't, it's not magic. You just, snapping things into existence is really science fiction right now, but I think snapping the entire universe into existence, that's something, and the intelligent design to get to where we are. So that's getting off on a tangent too. I hope people, they don't agree with me, maybe call in, we'll discuss it. I'll be polite. I'm not a shock jock, and I'm not going to scream at anyone. The worst thing that'll happen is you'll hear click.
Yep.
And so this character is a pre-hominid. Like he's the missing link between the apes and man, right? And intelligent design. And he just happens to be immortal. He just lives forever, but he still has the brain. Okay, so we're getting up on a break here. Hard break. I could hear the music, which is good. All right. So when we come back, we'll discuss more about the immortal Australopithecus.
arrive here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go, almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Searching for a financial partner that truly has your best interest at heart? Join KCT Credit Union, where they're more than just a bank. They're a not-for-profit financial cooperative. KCT members are owners, meaning profits go back to you in the form of lower loan rates, higher savings rates, and fewer fees. Experience personalized service that puts you first. Become a part of KCT, where your financial well-being is their top priority. Visit kctcu.org. Each account insured up to $250,000 by member's choice. This institution is not federally insured.
From morning coffee to your evening commute, WRMN 1410 AM is here for you. The faithful friend that brings you local news, timely topics, and the friendliest voices in the Valley. Stay informed, entertained, and engaged with our full lineup of shows, streaming all day, every day at WRMN1410.com or on the WRMN app. Wherever you are, we're right there with you. So why switch stations? Stick with the one that has it all. WRMN 1410 AM, your daily companion, your constant conversation.
Come see the only train-themed restaurant where all the seating is on the tracks. Two Toots Train Whistle Grill on Main Street in both Bartlett and Glen Ellen is always fun and always fresh. Two Toots Train Whistle Grill serves 100% grass-fed beef hot dogs and burgers. There's also chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, and more, all loaded up on 2 Lionel O-scale trains and delivered directly to your seat. No one sits away from the fun, regardless of age. When a train arrives delivering your food, you'll smile ear to ear. Visit twotoots.com.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Over time, you want to work less of it, so you need your crop protection to work more of it. When you add Tapran or Last Chance Pro adjuvants from CHS, they will. Designed for maximum efficacy, Last Chance Pro improves the uptake and translocation of herbicides, while Tapran helps activate herbicides for better performance against tough-to-control weeds. Ask your local CHS retailer how Tapran and Last Chance Pro adjuvants can put your crop protection to work.
La Flor Taco Grill at 910 Dundee Avenue at the corner of Slade and Elgin is under new management. Enjoy a huge selection of salads, quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and more. La Flor Taco Grill also has American cuisine favorites and breakfast. Bring the kids. There's a kids menu that they'll love. Are you planning a party this summer? La Flor also has catering with all types of both Mexican and American foods. Call 847-214-1306 or La Flor Taco Grill on Facebook.
Fixed Bayonets, brothers and sisters. This is Chief Warrant Officer 5, retired Michael F. Tooman, 38 years military intelligence experience, 27 years Chicago police detective, coming to you on the Fox River Valley Media Network, WRMN 1410 AM. Call us in at the studio number 847-931-1410, especially if you're a veteran or you have a veterans group, you want to get the word out, call in, we'll put you on there. All right, so when we left, we were talking about my character, the 2-million-year-old immortal Australopithecus named Glog, son of Glot. All right, so he's worth trillions of dollars. You hear about how you have all these corporations that you think are big, but then you find out they're owned by another corporation, and then you find out they're owned by an investment network, and then you find out all those investment networks are all owned by BlackRock, but then someone owns BlackRock, and then someone owns that. Well, this is the guy that would own most of them, because he's just been around for 2 million years, and after 2 million years, compounded interest on money and everything kind of gets up there. But it's also control. So he was worried that he would lose his immortality if he stayed on Earth for reasons that I'm not going to give you spoilers in the book, right? But so he took his corporations and he says, listen, I want to do a space shot, well, through a cutout, all right, because he's really furry and really short. But he speaks a lot of languages. He's been around 2 million years. His mind is such that he can't do all the technical work himself. That isn't the way his mind works. He's more into languages and stuff. But he knows how to hire good people or how to get good people to work for him. So he tells him, says, hey, get me to the moon, get me off the Earth and onto let's colonize the moon, make a nice colony there that I could live on. So he puts his good people to work, right? And he has almost unlimited funds. It doesn't matter to him, but the thing is, like NASA, all right, to give them their props there, we got cordless screwdrivers out of there, cordless power drills. I mean, oh my God. I think who cannot live without a cordless power drill or screwdriver now? And that comes out of NASA, right? So as he's doing this, when you're in space, in order to colonize everything on Earth, what do you need to survive? You need food, water, and shelter, right? And we take air for granted. We take atmosphere for granted. But the main thing in space is atmosphere, right? Because you can live without food for 30 days, before you actually drop dead of complete starvation. Your body will start eating itself. You can live without water for maybe at the most a week, without any actual water. You can live without air. I mean, if you really hold your breath and you got good deep lungs, maybe 5 minutes. So 5 minutes. So the most important thing here is atmosphere. The next most important thing is shelter to keep the atmosphere in one place, because nature hates a vacuum, so it's going to try to fill that vacuum with anything it could get. And if you're not protecting the atmosphere, it's just going to go out and disperse. All right. So as the smart people are working on this, right, they develop things that could be used on Earth now. Hydroponic gardens that'll work in space. Well, they're going to test them out on Earth, right? Shelters that'll work in space, so you can build a space station. Well, they're going to test it out on Earth first, or maybe test it underwater, to see if it's going to hold, if it's solid, and you could grow stuff underwater. Maybe you could grow it in space. Artificial gravity, which is just centripetal force spinning, forcing you to the outside of something, which gives you the illusion of actual gravity. And everything that he does there, he's not really spending money, because now he's selling the byproduct of his space shot, the extra food that he's making on Earth, the extra energy, like hydrogen. I don't know why we're afraid to use liquid hydrogen to power cars. It burns. It has a zero carbon footprint, because hydrogen burns, merges with oxygen, and forms water. You get water and heat, and that powers your cars. So here he is, a private guy, and he's the one that actually gets people into space, that actually gets a functioning, full-time, self-sufficient space station, then a functioning, full-time moon moon colony, and then he's able to go out to Mars. And as the technology gets there, it's just a jump. It's not a far jump. Once humans had the technology for ships floating on boats, right? Oh, hey, Brendan, good to hear you, and good to see you there on the chat. Once humans got the boats, man, you had the people coming over from Polynesia, all right? They actually crossed all the islands. It's not like the humans were scattered all over the earth, right? And then they crossed the Pacific and got into South America. You also had people, that crossed the land bridge up north, but these people took long journeys. Then you had the Greeks, the Persians, and everyone with their navies exploring, and everything comes out. Now this stuff gets really faster. Now we got these huge cargo ships, and that's only in a matter of a couple hundred years, because you think back before the Civil War, we didn't have, which is 150 years ago, a little over 150, not even 2 decades, they were wooden ships working with sails. All right. Now we have giant nuclear-powered aircraft carriers that are literally cities. So you go into space, and they say, well, it's very expensive to build all that fuel to go into space. But like I said in the beginning, space isn't actually a vacuum. It still contains some hydrogen. So now, if you have a controlled nuclear meltdown, that's funny, right? Controlled nuclear meltdown. Well, that's what basically your nuclear power stations are controlled nuclear meltdown. You have the uranium getting too close, uranium rods, they get close to each other, they start having a lot of heat. The heat boils the water water boils more water, which powers steam turbines. Well, the same thing goes if you have this controlled meltdown and you're feeding in hydrogen, that hydrogen gets super hot and expelled out of the back of your spaceship, right? So you actually have self-feeding, because now all you're doing is like getting these superheated hydrogen molecules out with a little bit of radiation from the uranium or whatever you're using for the nuclear pile inside the ship. I'm not a super expert, right? Not a super genius, but I know what's out there. But again, the government regulates this stuff and everything. So they're looking at, you got solar sails, or we're going to use, compressed liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen in a rocket form out there. But, you're not going to get oxygen out in space unless you mine it somewhere, right? If you could find, that's the important thing. If you could find water, you could use electricity. You could break up water into hydrogen and oxygen. So that's the main thing. That's why they always look, not for life, but for fuel, right? So you create atmosphere and stuff. So that's the way I see it. I see a corporation or a group of people, a fund me, or just one really rich guy that decides, instead of having this mega yacht that I lay on and I'm surrounded by thousands of servants because I'm so narcissistic, right? I'm going to spend that money on maybe just taking one, making myself a spaceship that I could use over and over to go up into space, to go up into a weightless space environment whenever I can, and call myself an astronaut. And then once you build that, once the tooling gets done, because like research, right? Would they say, why are these drugs so expensive when they only take 10 cents to make? It's not even 10 cents worth of materials. Well, it's what they paid for the research into it, for the testing, for everything else that goes into it, right? They're trying to recoup that money. So after a while, like aspirin, that's been around almost 100 years, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that original research has been recouped by now. So aspirin probably costs less than a penny for each to make. So you could buy 1,000 of them at Walmart for like $4. Yep. So sooner or later, you think like these other drugs, like insulin, should be there, but I'm not really sure how they make insulin. I'm not if it's synthetic or not. 1 minute. Mm-hmm. So Anyone think that I'm off my kilter here with the privatization of space travel? And let me know about something like the Artemis Accords, because I think that's another thing of government overreach and globalist overreach, and the United Nations saying, hey, we don't want anyone outside of our control. And I think that's super narcissistic and super elitist that a group of unelected people or assigned by elected people to be in those things can say what we can and cannot do on improving the world, improving humankind and the human condition and our quality of life. Every time we advance technology, we increase the quality of life and help people.
All right, we'll take a quick timeout. We'll be back with more Chief Guard of the Republic here in just a bit. Stay tuned.
Join me, your host, Michael Francis Tuman, on my radio show, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security and defense. Other topics will include personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in, ask me questions. I will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon until 1 p.m., here on Fox River Valley's 1410 AM, WRMN Elgin.
Are you looking for a way to be creative right now? Have you ever wanted to learn to watercolor paint? You can now do that from the comfort of your own home with Zoom watercolor classes. Get professional instruction from nationally showing artist Victoria Elizabeth. These classes are step-by-step, broken down with easy-to-understand instructions. They are affordable too, at $15 for a 2-hour class. Visit her website at victoriaelizabethart.com to find out more. That's victoriaelizabethart.com.
Is your Illinois driver's license suspended? Your driving privileges are important to your livelihood. You need your driver's license to drive to work, get the kids to school, or go shopping. Your driving privileges are crucial for your lifestyle. If your driver's license is suspended, call attorney Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050 to begin procedures to have your driver's license reinstated by the Illinois Secretary of State's office. That phone number for Mark Sheblo is 773-775-5050. Mark Sheblo is an attorney with over 29 years of experience. Call him today at 773-775-5050. Visit his website at SheblowLawOffice.com. That's SCIBLO lawoffice.com.
Bix Bayonets, brothers and sisters, comrades everywhere. This is Chief Warrant Officer 5, Michael Francis Tuman from the Fox River Valley Media Network, WRMN, 1410 AM. Call us in at 847-931-1410 on the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show. So, all right, so if you want to see us get into space, it's definitely going to be deregulation by the government. There are some dangerous things, though. You don't want. We talked about it last month, and I said how absolutely anti-nuclear weapon I am. Okay, so it's a deterrent. It's deters me from almost everything, right? Do that, and I'll drop a nuclear bomb. Okay, I'm not going to do that then. But we use it as a deterrent to say, hey, if someone makes a big attack on us, we could retaliate and just absolutely wipe you out. When I was in, so I'm getting off a little bit here, but when I was in the warrant officer school, the original warrant officer candidate school, they were giving us a lot of classes on a little higher level than you would normally get for the low enlisted. And one of the classes was on the nuclear, our nuclear arsenals and stuff. And we had a captain come in, and she goes, the United States would never use a nuclear first strike. And I was shocked at that this captain, much younger than most of us warrant officers, would say such a thing. So I stood up and I says, that is not true. I says, we reserved the right to a nuclear first strike. And when the Russians put out a nuclear no strike agreement with all these other nuclear powers, no first strike agreement, we did not sign that. We put out the same thing with a no chemical weapons, that we wouldn't use chemical weapons first. I mean, retaliatory, we may use them, but the Russians didn't sign that one because they had a large complement of chemical weapons. So it was like a tit for tat on there. But if you have non-nation powers, that's like the Hamas is a non-nation power. A lot of these terrorist organizations, Al-Qaeda, they don't have a home nation, right? I guess the Taliban does have, Afghanistan now, but they're not really nuclear powers, but they could still hit us with some weird stuff. Are we going to retaliate against a non-nation with a nuclear weapon? I don't think so. So it doesn't deter. It doesn't deter that. And my belief is that, yes, we do need the deterrence against the big guys. We got these nuclear weapons, and it's just like saying, hey, if you mess us up, it's going to be game over. Oh, can you put who's?
All right, hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
It's the Dutchman.
Hey, Dutch, what's up?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I just thought I'd call and check up a little bit and see how you guys are doing, So, good show. I'm glad you guys have a program going on. So I thought I'd, I follow WRMN wherever I go. So there you go.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you, Dutchman. And okay, so there's another guy, Dutch. He's a big guy with the veterans community, especially in Cook County. I'd like to put this out there. So Cook County, I know we're in Kane County here, but in Cook County, we have a county board meeting where they're going to be discussing funding for the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County. Now, this is mandated by the state that each county has it. I know Lake County funds theirs to $5 million, but Cook County is the largest county, and we just barely got $2.9 million for funding for veterans, for assisting veterans. It's strictly for the veterans. And so they're having the board meeting for the budget for next year, and that's going to be on Monday. I believe that's the 28th at, 11 or 1. Anyways, it's going to be downtown at the Cook County building. I take the blue line right down there, ride down there. Any veteran that wants to come in where your veterans had and everything, let's show the board members. And most of the board members, they support us. They voted unanimously to give us this large raise because they know what we are. But we need to keep that pressure on to let them know that the veterans are out there. The veterans understand, right, and that they're mandated to support us. So
correct. Yeah, well, I'm Dutch American. Well, I wasn't born in Holland, but most of my family's over there, and. But I mean, I study woodworking in a lot of European stuff, including Dutch, Swedish, Danish, Venetian. So not talk it or speak it, but I do a lot of. When I travel a lot, I go over there and I study the woodworks and stuff that goes on. But I'm more of a traditionalist. I like to do things the old-fashioned way, but I do a lot of turning on my lathe, and my big thing is trying to get the young generation into woodworking and stuff. But you were talking about something here. We can't control the world. I don't know why we keep getting into that battle. My biggest problem is when I sit here and I listen to the news at night, not from you guys, but on TV or something. And a lot of people want to knock Israel for what's going on. I'm not Jewish, but can you imagine if Mexico was launching rockets at us all the time? What do you think would be going on?
Okay, well, I could get really deep into that, right? But I'm trying not to be political. I'm just political in that way, right? International events and everything. I mean, I could tell you my opinion on that. Okay, here, I'll knock it down right here to the basics. We should not give 1 cent of our tax money and our national treasure to any foreign country that is involved in any war of aggression of any kind, whether they're the victim or whether they're the invader or whatever, because you got to have both sides of the story. Because it's simple. The bombs that are being dropped, the stuff that's getting blown up in Israel, the stuff that's getting blown up in Gaza, that's pretty much your tax dollars at work each way, all right? So, no foreign aid to countries at war. That encourages peace, because if you're a peaceful country, we'll help you out. But if you're blowing stuff up and killing people and increasing, danger of the world, not 1 cent. Not 1 cent.
Yeah, but see, here's common sense, and that you're right, but it won't happen because that's not. Look at you and I and the rest of the world that are, like us, just us peons. We don't make the wars. It's the politicians and the rich people that make the wars. That's fact. All right. So, and there's the religious part of it, which has a lot to do with the wars in the Middle East. And people don't study history. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in college, we got pounded that stuff in our heads, but it seems like everybody forgot how that all works over there.
Well, I think everyone forgot about the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
But that's where all this stuff is coming from. They hate us like a passion, and they're never going to let go. Where you can wipe Hamas out, another organization will just come up in its ugly head again. It's just a matter of time. I mean, I hate to say it, because we're such a free country. Who knows what?
Well, there's a price for freedom. Being a free country is that exactly that. We're such a free country that we create a danger to ourselves. Okay, so one of the things. Let's talk about terrorism here. Everyone talks about what the true thing of terrorism is. Terrorism is, even though it's violence, right, and like a military action, terrorism is a psychological operation, all right? It's to make people so afraid, and then the government uses that, right? They say, listen, we need to protect you against these terrorists that are taking over these airplanes. So now they make sure that you're strip searched at the airport beyond belief, right? That there's long lines at the airport. And the goal of terrorism is to make your government so oppressive that you revolt against your own government, because they have made the government repressive by trying to protect the population, but they're going over on it. All right, so I got a minute left. Is that towards the end there? And listen, Brent, listen, Dutchman, like that's great. I'm glad to talk to you and everything, and I hope you understand my point of view. So, thank you for calling in.
Everybody's got one, and good luck with it. And I'll be listening. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Brendan. And everyone else that could call in. So see you again. I'll be seeing you guys again next week at 14:10 a.m. Same channel, of course. 1 noon to 1 on Saturday. Maybe one of these days, if I get more listeners and more callers in, I might be able to expand, because I actually do kind of like the radio show here. It's given me a good outlet for a lot of my angst in the world. And hey, if you're with the Veterans Organization, you want to come in and talk to me, come on in. So once again, greetings and salutations. See you next week. Fox River Valley Media Network, 1410 a.m. with WRMN, 847-931-1410. Now featuring international crime thriller, I Married a Bot Madam. Available on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. The paperback is also available at other book retailers. Check out Michael Tuman's webpage at Scilink.net. That's Papa Sierra Yankee Lima India November Kilo November Echo Tango. Join me, your host, Michael Francis Tuman, on my radio show, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security and defense. Other topics will include personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in, ask me questions. I will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon until 1 p.m., here on Fox River Valley's